Morphin Legacy presents The Grid.
Howdy, Ranger Nation. This is Shatteray22, Vice President of MorphinLegacy.com, welcoming you to another Grid Retrospective, where I'll be reviewing both seasons of Power Rangers Samurai.
Woohoo!
We had to get to a bad season eventually, so I guess Samurai is the perfect place to start. Joining me in this retrospective is Austin.
Hi.
And we gave Amber the day off because I doubt she wanted to rewatch this mess. During the pandemic, we decided to watch all of Samurai again, and we're like, oh, this is fun.
I blame the pandemic for a lot of things, but I feel like that's where our kick of just watching trash started. Because watching random episodes of Samurai is fine. Binging it, I wanted to kill myself.
Oh, right, because we didn't watch it in order.
We just watched random episodes.
I think we watched Sticks and Stones first, and it's like, oh my god, this is so trash. So let's just watch other random episodes. And then we decided, okay, so we're doing retrospectives on the grid, so let's do Samurai as one of our first retrospectives. And then we watched the entire season, and yeah.
It exists.
It's definitely something when you watch it in order. So on to the retrospective. So how this will work is that the two of us will roundtable discuss the characters, our favorites and least favorite aspects of the season, and then wrap up discussion by giving our overall thoughts and comparing it to other seasons. So with that,
let's go ahead and get this shit started.
Samurai forever! Jaden!
Mia!
Mike! Kevin!
Emily!
Antonio! Go, go, Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! Rangers together! Samurai forever! Go, go, Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! Rangers together! Samurai forever!
alrighty, so on to the plot synopsis, which is essentially the opening narration for every episode. So fuck it, let's just play it right here.
Centuries ago in Japan, Nylok monsters invaded our world, but samurai warriors defeated them with power symbols passed down from parent to child. Today, the evil Nylok have risen once again and plan to flood the earth. Luckily, a new generation of heroes stand in their way. They are the Power Rangers Samurai.
First of all, why did they use the same opening for both seasons? So much changed for the second season.
Yeah, but this was at a time where this was the first ever opening narration.
And like, while it was still unnecessary, at least Dino Charge changed the opening narration for the second season.
But Dino Charge actually had some changes in the story, because they got a whole new villain taking over.
So did Super Samurai. They had Serrator show up and try to take charge.
Who wasn't introduced till episode 4 of Super Samurai, but I see where you're going at.
He was in the movie, which aired before Super Samurai.
Oh god, don't even get me started with Clash of the Red Rangers. That whole mess is like, oh, we wanted to adapt Go-Onger versus Shinkenger, but we don't want to pay all the actors to come back, so let's just get Ika to ADR just the Red Ranger.
He wasn't even credited.
You had to go under a pseudonym because he would SAG and they didn't want to pay him SAG scale. So yeah, just get the red one and not anyone else. Even though they got Ari Boylan to voice a monster this season.
Oh, but also, the only things we're reviewing in this retrospective are the main episodes. We're not talking about Clash. We're not talking about the holiday crap.
We essentially just talked about Clash, so we got that shit in. Let's talk about the holiday special for minutes. They're just clip shows. There's nothing to them, except for party monsters, which is kind of fun.
I like party monsters. I will allow party monsters. Because all the original footage of Nylok Hell, like, fun.
That's fun, but everything else is like, oh, Emily's writing a letter to her dead sister.
That's low-key iconic, only because of a meme we made.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. I think I'm gonna have to share that after we're done again. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Oh my god.
I'll allow the samurai holiday specials, but the super samurai ones,
Trickster Treat is garbage. There is not a frame of original footage in that mess. I feel like Jonathan Zakor just whipped out Windows Movie Maker, called it a day, and there you go. He's credited as a director in that episode, and there's not a frame of original footage.
What did you direct?
And then the Super Samurai Christmas special is just... they're in their suits the whole fucking time in the cockpit, reminiscing about things. Meanwhile, Bulk and Spike come to the Shiba house and just hang out there just to vibe. And that's it.
That makes no sense because they're stuck in the cockpit. Y'all can demorph. You're not being forced to stay in your suit.
Yeah, but they probably filmed that Christmas special after they left. But Paul Schreier and Felix Ryan are still there for some reason. But yeah, the holiday specials suck. The super ones especially suck. Let's move on to the characters.
Spoilers, they also all suck.
I mean, different levels of suckage, but onto our Red Ranger himself, Jaden Shiba.
I must not fail. I am the Red Ranger.
Kendall from Big Time Rush.
Pretty much. I have that in my notes because we made that joke a whole lot of times.
I revived that joke. Thank you.
Alright, so yeah, Jaden is the 18th head of the Shiba clan, and most of his character is essentially just, he is the Red Ranger.
Aggressively the Red Ranger. That's it.
He has no other hobbies. He is just, I am the Red Ranger, I must not fail. Alex Hartman does a good job portraying a Red Ranger type kind of character, but
He's just not given anything.
to the extent of them being like, yeah, the finale's here, and what is Jaden gonna do now? And G's like, hey, here's a guitar. How about we start playing that?
It's like, wait, has he ever showed interest in music before? No.
He's never shown interest in anything besides training and being stoic Red Ranger. But yeah, we talked about Jaden Shiba, played by a white guy.
Child.
Yeah, so let's talk about whitewashing. Saban, in their ever-wise wisdom, decided, hey, we're adapting this season that has a lot of Japanese origins and themes, and we're gonna name the character Jaden Shiba, so why not just cast a white guy to play him? We can't cast a Japanese actor to play Jaden Shiba in the season where Japanese culture is super important.
The Shiba clan is descended from Japan.
All the Rangers this season are descendants of the Shiba clan, and they're all diverse races, which I get that is Power Rangers bread and butter, but when you do a season where themes are very heavy in Japanese culture, don't have every single Ranger descended from this clan. This is what you do. You cast the Red Ranger as the Japanese representation of the season, have him be the last member of the clan, and then the other four, have them be childhood friends or just random people. You can do that too. There you go. You got your diversity without whitewashing.
Jaden could have been played by an Asian actor, and he was the only living descendant of the Shiba clan, so he needs to create a team, and he chooses his friends who are all diverse. There you go.
And that way you don't do the whole, why is this white farm girl descendants from Japanese samurai? You could mix races and eventually generations and generations down the line.
That wasn't that long.
18 generations.
That's way too long. They only did 18 generations because it was the 18th season. They're like, we're clever.
It's 18 because that's what they did in Shinkenger. He was the 18th head of the Shiba clan there too.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So yeah, Jaden's kind of boring. He's flat. Role should have been played by someone of Japanese descent. Also, it's kind of strange too because we still haven't done that in the show, technically.
Not even for fucking Ninja Steel. Why are we adapting these seasons with Japanese and Asian culture and not getting an Asian Red Ranger? What is that about?
Especially in the seasons that have very Asian Japanese theming to it. And that's when you have to do that. I mean, Alex Hartman does a good job. Maybe you could have had him in a season where Japanese culture wasn't important to the story, but I digress. Alrighty, on to our favorite Pink Ranger, Mia!
Time to blow you away! Ha!
I can't cook.
Pretty much. So yeah, Mia's the Pink Samurai Ranger, and she's kind of a very strange character because she starts off, we see her getting the call of action where she's hanging around kids, so I guess she's a teacher? Maybe?
No, she's not. They only did that because of Shinkenger.
Exactly, that's what they did. I think Mako was a teacher, and then she never mentions it again.
If you were gonna make her a cook and have that be her journey, you couldn't have her standing in a kitchen or something,
There you go!
or she's at a restaurant or something, and then she sees the van pull up outside.
No. We gotta do what the Sentai did. Exactly, to the T. Even if it doesn't make any sense, reflect what the Sentai did. Mako hung around children in her introduction. Do the same with Mia if it makes no sense down the line. And then in episode 2, we get her being like, I want to find my Prince Charming.
And then that just drops off.
That is never mentioned again. Because guess what? That's what Mako said in episode 2 of Shinkenger.
Oh my god.
And like we just said before, her one recurring character trait this season is just, Mia can't cook.
They could have done something with this. She wants to cook. That's her thing. Cool. Fun. She could have maybe progressed a little bit. Maybe she makes something in season 2 where everyone eats it and they're like, oh wow, this is actually really good.
But the thing is,
And they don't tell her it's bad.
they don't tell her it's bad, so she's under the impression that all her friends love her cooking, so she doesn't attempt to get any better, so she keeps making shit food.
First of all, these are all horrible friends. You know, there's helpful feedback that you can give as a friend, but also what kind of message does that send to kids watching this being like, oh, if my friend's terrible, I shouldn't just say anything.
For example, Austin, if you ever cooked something and I tasted it and it tastes like shit, I'm gonna say this is garbage, mama.
I don't cook, so that wouldn't happen. But yeah.
Mia's entire story arc is that she can't cook until the finale where she's like, I'm going to cooking school. And then they decide to be like, oh, finally. And like, I heard Leia. Now you hear it, bitch? You don't hear the side eyes or them whispering in the background about you being a sucky cook. But yeah, Mia's a flat character. So shocker, another flat character. She's kind of a story arc with Daya where she feels bad for her when she peered in her backstory dream with Decker. But again, that goes nowhere.
Like everything in this season.
Alrighty, so that's it for Mia. Let's move on to Mike.
How about a lunch break? You'd be amazed at how well I practice after a few slices of pizza.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Mike is a walking contradiction. At the same time, he wants friends to respect him as a samurai, but also he's a slacker. Are you a slacker or do you want to prove yourself to your friends? Can't be both.
I feel like in a sense, yeah, you can't be both, but also you can still want to feel validated by everyone, but it's just in your mentality to just not really apply yourself.
I was scraping the barrel for Mike because there's not really much to say about him.
Mike's an asshole, there you go.
He's an asshole. We'll talk about this later because it's in my least favorite episodes, but we'll talk about that later. Oh, he also has 2 friends at the beginning of the season where we see a couple times and then they disappear.
Never brought up again. Is that also only because Green had those 2 friends in Shinkenger?
Probably. Also, they kind of fit the mold of what originally was supposed to be Big Mac and Skinny Jack, because I remember there being sides for 2 characters that were Bulk and Spike kind of characters, but I guess they got Paul Shar, so they're like, we don't need these characters. Also, one thing I also never noticed until rewatching Samurai, we never get any inkling on Mike's family life at all.
Which is weird, because we see everyone else's family to some extent.
We don't know how he was raised, who he was raised by, if he has any siblings.
Wait, that's really, really weird, because Jaden has Lauren and G. Mia has her brother that shows up. Antonio is also kind of connected to Jaden. Emily has her sister.
Antonio has his father that's a fisherman.
And then Kevin has his dad. Yeah, we see nothing about Mike.
It could have been interesting if they did what they did in the Sentai, is that Shinken Green, he was a goofball and he was behind everyone else's because nobody told him about his samurai lineage. That could have been a good way to explain why the way he is, because he got this call to action, but he didn't know what the call to action was at first until he's just like, oh yeah, we're descended from ancient samurai, so go on, Mike, you can be the Green Ranger now.
That involves effort in writing.
The one thing you should have translated is that, and you didn't. You take something out, you gotta put something back in, honey. That's how it works. But yeah, Mike is a character. Not so good, but I feel like Hector David Jr.'s acting kind of gives it a little energy, so it is kind of fun. It's not boring.
Speaking of boring.
Yeah, but speaking of boring, let's move on to Kevin.
Want a bite?
No thanks. I never snack between meals while in samurai training.
When aren't you in training?
Never.
The dullest Power Ranger ever.
Oh, ever. Oh, wow.
Ever. I will say ever.
She's being bold.
So Kevin starts off this season as a swimmer that answers the call to being a samurai, and then he pretty much ignores that fact that he was a swimmer until a Super Samurai episode where it's revisited, and that's it. You never see him thinking about being a swimmer or talking about being a swimmer or missing his old life before. He's just Jaden's little bitch going forward. He just follows Jaden into anything, and he has barely any personality. He's just Ranger guy, just like Jaden.
Yeah.
And you could do the by the books character without it being boring. Example, Ravi. But Ravi had a character beyond being by the books. He had his story arc with Roxy, and he had his painting arc. So you gotta give us some meat and potatoes to this character, or you're just gonna be boring as hell. And then I guess it just ends with him going to the Olympics as a swimmer.
There is no way that motherfucker would have gotten into the Olympics without training for the last few years because he was dealing with this Nylock shit.
Or Pan Global Games, because that's technically the Olympics and Power Rangers.
But they don't reference that. As much as this is trying to be Mighty Morphin, they don't reference the Pan Global Games.
Early Neo Saban era seasons, they try to be in continuity, but at the same time, they want to ignore it. Because Samurai has Bulk and Spike, and that's continuity, but that's about it. Megaforce was like, you had to be dripping with continuity, and the first season doesn't do anything besides Zordon's My Mentor, and season 2's Legendary Battle, and that's about it. Even if they go to a place that was in a season like Animarium or Corinth, we're never going to see a character from that season. God forbid we do that, right? But yeah. Kevin! So Kevin is essentially the same character he was at the beginning of the season. That he is like most of the characters this season. They don't really grow.
Pretty much everyone.
So usually with characters that are by the books and Mr. Serious, they kind of soften them up a little bit. But not Kevin. He's essentially the same character at the end of the show that he is at the beginning.
He's just a rock. He doesn't even become a soft potato at the end, just a rock the whole time.
Pretty much. On to Emily.
Just like chopping down weeds back home.
My queen.
The country girl, y'all. So Emily actually has a cool backstory where she wasn't the first in line to be the Yellow Ranger. Her older sister was, but she got sick, so she had to take her sister's place in the team, which could have been a really good arc where she has to prove herself because she's not on the same level as everyone, kind of like Mike, but in the sense that Mike actually deserved his role, I guess, because of hierarchy, but they don't really do anything beyond that episode. They just have her be like, I'm the dainty girl. Where are the guys? Frozen peas on my face.
I mean, Sticks and Stones, she is kind of dealing with being insecure about her spot on the team.
I will say that, but that's
the only time we see that.
They kind of revisited a little bit. Strange Case of the Munchies, she does try to be like, I'm going to be tough. But they do that in episode 32 of the season, so that kind of feels like something they should have done in season 1, not in season 2. Season 2 is the season you should be
ramping up plot and stuff.
Yeah, season 2 is the season you should be ramping up plot and ending these characters' arcs, not starting them up again.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of the end of the season, Emily's endgame was that she's going to take care of her sister, and then she has a developing romance with Mike out of nowhere. I'll BT dubs are dating now. There's places here and there where you see kind of some sparks, but it's like, maybe you should have used the last few episodes where they start getting closer. Maybe you see them training together, and then you see them winking at each other.
No, that doesn't happen in Shinkenger. No,
it doesn't happen in Shinkenger, so we can't do it here. Give the shippers their fodder, I guess.
The only moment I can think of is when he's giving her a piggyback ride at the end of Sticks and Stones.
Ice cream's my favorite!
You're awake? You thought she was asleep?
Ice cream trucks are my favorite. Who the fuck wrote that? Alrighty, so yeah, I like Emily. She's a little bit of a stereotype. And sometimes me and Emily's personality kind of are like the same. They're just the girl. These characters are just so fucking generic. Can you give them a little distinction? Alrighty, so on to the Excelente Antonio.
Now this is a big moment. Man, this is gonna be so golden. Now let's do this.
Finally, some energy in this team. Antonio is honestly the hand down the best ranger this season, and that's pretty much due to the performance of Steven Skyler.
He's a warbler. He was gonna bring it.
But honestly, though, the best stuff for Antonio is J-Tonio.
Yes.
So yeah, Antonio is Jaden's childhood friend, and probably more in present day considering how he's introduced.
Can't believe it's really you.
Believe it, baby, I'm back. And I'm ready for some action.
How can you not read between the lines with that? Come on now. They know what they were doing.
How clueless you have to be to write something like that and not even second guess it. That's like the start of a porno.
But yeah, Antonio's literally the same character through the whole season. He's Mr. Excelente, Mr. Fish.
Mr. Fish.
Mr. Fish.
He's serving us fish.
Serving us fish on the runway. Like trash tilapia. So yeah, he's the same character, beginning and ends. And his end game is to travel the world and turn it upside down by entering a fishing tournament. But let's be real though, Antonio wasn't really a character that needed to change because he was kind of perfect from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think the only complaint I have is that he needed to calm the fuck down with the random Spanish words.
That gave very much white people trying to write characters of color energy.
Alrighty, so speaking of mess, let's talk about Lauren.
Everything I've ever done has been for this one moment. I must succeed. This is for you, Father.
Queen.
But problematic at the same time. But not because of her.
Not because of her.
So Lauren is the true Red Samurai Ranger and Jaden's older sister that went into hiding to perfect the sealing symbol, while Jaden would lead the team to battle. The twist, to be fair, it was kind of foreshadowed a little bit. A little here, a little there. I mean, Negatron was like, "You have a secret." I'm sure there was a sprinkle once or twice that I don't remember, but it's there and it's kind of subtle. So Lauren, here as our first good female Red Ranger, working that female leadership, and it's handled so bad. My god. So Jaden decides to leave on his own volition, mind you, so the team will follow her into battle. But guess what? They fucking hate her for it because they blame her for Jaden leaving.
They blame her for him choosing to leave. He chose to leave and told everyone to follow Lauren when he left. And then they turn around and basically just start harassing her about it. Who wrote this? Who did this? On my list.
I'm sorry, Lauren. I'm sure you're a great samurai. But it's just not the same without Jaden.
Are you kidding me?
She's the real Red Ranger.
I mean, I get it, team dynamics and whatnot, but why would you do this to your first hashtag girl boss leader?
Hashtag girl boss.
We were watching these last episodes a few days ago, and I was screaming at my computer the whole time. I'm like, why did you say that? Why are you being so sexist to Lauren? It's not her fault Jaden wanted to leave. It's too damn bad. Follow her into battle. They do it once, and then they're like, oh, fuck you, Lauren. We're gonna find Jaden because he's fighting Decker in the woods. And it's like, he chose to do that. He beat Decker before. So what's the problem here? I just think it's another example of them changing something from the Sentai but not adding anything to replace that, because in the Sentai, the first Shinkenred wasn't related to the Shiba clan at all. He was a fake. The real Shinkenred came in and then he was kicked out. He didn't leave on his own volition. He was kicked out. So you can see why they would be mad. But here they're mad at Lauren for Jaden leaving on his own volitions.
Trash.
And then Lauren is just sidelined after the ceiling symbol doesn't work.
And then she doesn't even say goodbye to them. Jaden was like, you're not going to say goodbye to everyone? She's like, no, they hate me. They don't even ask where she went.
They don't care. They fucking hate her. They replaced Jaden for 2 episodes. And then she's pretty much just uses, oh, here's the battleizer outside the cockpit. Thanks, Lauren. You contributed so much to this finale. Also, why the fuck did she leave? I don't know why she leaves. The fight is over. Where are you going? There's no reason to go. You left because you had to work on the symbol in hiding. You don't need to do that anymore. So yeah, for the first ever good female ranger, they handled it like shit. But I do like Lauren though.
I like Lauren. I still need her figure, but
Kimberly Crossman did a good job portraying her. Alrighty, so on to Mentor G.
This is crazy!
trash.
The dullest mentor ever.
He's just there.
He's Jaden's father figure. He doesn't like letting go of sticks and he rides a motorcycle. I have nothing to say about G. That's it. Alrighty, so on to Bulk and Spike.
Thanks for taking me in, Uncle Bulk. Dad said that you could help me become something rich. And then he left for about 20 minutes.
He's right. And what I'm gonna do is train you to become a samurai.
The first in a long line of comic relief duos every season, pretty much.
They're to blame.
So Bulk is back in the first Neo Saban era season, living in Panorama City for some reason. Why is he living here? And he's training Skull's son, Spike, to be a samurai for some reason.
Because this season didn't have enough cultural appropriation.
For real though, but why does Bulk want to be a samurai? That's never explained. He does this at the same time the Samurai Rangers are introduced, so maybe it would make sense if he wanted to be a samurai after he saw the Rangers, but this happens at the beginning of the season where the Samurai Rangers are introduced. So why? Is this just a coincidence that you want to be a samurai in the season with Samurai Rangers? Ugh, it hurts my brain so much.
Also, why is he living in a garage?
Did Bulk Myers really go that under or something? What happened to your beach club?
Not only is he living in a garage taking care of Spike's child, Spike isn't providing anything to help him take care of his child for like 2 years.
Skull is pretty much, hey, here's my kid, have fun. Also, Skull is rich! We see him in the finale where he picks up Spike and he's in a limo. Why weren't you supporting your son while he was a samurai? You just dropped him off at Bulk and like, have fun.
Also, who's the mom?
Oh yeah, who's the mom of Spike? Is it Kimberly? Because he was wearing a pink shirt when he picked him up. So speaking of Pink Rangers, Spike has this weird story arc where he's in love with the Pink Samurai Ranger. Not Mia, just the Pink Samurai Ranger, and eventually Mia. It doesn't go anywhere.
Dino Charge did this better, where Miss Thing was dating Chase, but then fell in love with the Black Ranger and then found out it was him.
But with here, it's like, they don't even get together in the end. Spike just disappears and we never see him again.
I don't want them to get together. Ew.
I mean, I don't want him together too, but why did you do this if you're going to do anything with it? He just has a crush on Mia and the Pink Samurai Ranger, and you do nothing with it.
Give them something to do.
God. This is hurting my head. Also, their shenanigans from most of Samurai, they have nothing to do with the plot at all. Because at least I can give it to Ben and Betty. Some of their shenanigans have something to do with the episode, and sometimes Victor and Monty.
It was always a meanwhile. Meanwhile, Bulk and Spike are doing this.
If I didn't think otherwise, I'd think that Bulk and Spike were filmed their stuff in California while everything else was filmed in New Zealand. Because I could count on one hand the times the Samurai Rangers have interacted with Bulk and Spike. And that's kind of bad when you have characters that barely interact with the Rangers. Again, what's the point? And then they just disappear. Their end game is making a giant gumball that seals up a hole that was emitting dark energy from it. And that was episode 15 of season 2. So then they just disappear without a trace for the rest of the season until after Master Xandra is defeated. So they don't even contribute to the finale.
Shows how important they were.
I'll give it to Ben and Betty and Victor and Monty. At least they contributed to their finales. Victor and Monty aided in the end game for Galvanax, making that magnet. And they were used to do that hypnosis thing. And then they blew up Badana and Cosmo. I don't like Victor and Monty, but at least they contributed. Bulk and Spike did nothing.
They didn't affect anything.
You wasted Paul Schur, and the last time Bulk is ever seen in the show, he's laughing like an idiot. Way to go. All that development throughout the years was just flushed down the toilet. They honestly should have just saved Bulk from Megaforce, made him the Ernie of that season, and then you could have just had some continuity where you call the place they hang out Bulk Myers. The end. Alrighty, so on to the villains. Master Xandrid.
This medicine makes me feel better, but that music is giving me a splitting headache!
A drunk whore.
So he's the leader of the Nylonks, and he's very one note. He is so fucking boring. All he does is get angry and drinks 90% of the show because he dries up very quickly when he's on land. So he can't be on the surface, so he can't really do anything. He's just getting drunk and getting angry, and that's it.
I feel like for them, Xandred was kind of like a Rita callback. Because it was like, I have a splitting headache.
And they played the Rita Repulsa kind of music when they went to the Netherworld too, sometimes. His final endgame is that Dayu sacrifices herself by turning into a kimono. Because she's all stressy, depressy after Decker dies.
Mary, don't be sad about that.
She seems so sad after Decker's died. He's like, oh, he's gone. Yeah, you seem so emotional, Dayu. You just lost your husband.
She gets so emotional, baby. Every time she thinks of Decker.
So yeah, I guess she sacrifices herself or Xandred kills her. I watched this and I don't even get it. She turns into energy that turns him half human so he doesn't dry up and the stealing symbol doesn't work on him. Instead of stealing them, the Rangers just destroy him like every other fucking season does. What do you know? Didn't think to do that in the first place? Come on now. So yeah, Xandred's one note. We don't even know how he became leader. We don't know if he was born into the role or he's the first ever Nylok.
We know nothing about most of these villains. They're just villains.
We don't even know the hierarchy or the backstory. How did the Nylok get created? I would like to know. It's confusing though because when Serrator is introduced, he's referred to as the Nylok King. So I thought that was going to be something in the play. It's like, oh, is Serrator higher in the food chain than Xandred is? But no, Serrator just obeys him because he's the master, I guess. But yeah, Xandred's bland. Shocker, this season has a lot of bland characters. Alrighty, so on to Miss Dayu.
Once upon a time, I wore a dress like this one, but my happiness was ripped away, and now these humans will suffer the same fate!
The lady villain.
She's also there.
Pretty much, she's just the lady villain of the season. She's just vibing in the netherworld, playing her little harmonium. And then you get like bits and pieces of her character in episode 8, I think. There Goes the Brides. She wants to make a wedding dress, so it's like, what is that about? That's interesting, but we don't really learn about what that is about until Broken Dreams, where we learn that Dayu used to be a human and was married to Decker, and she, I guess, sold her soul to the Nylok to save Decker, which turned her into a Nylok.
Why would that turn her into a Nylok, though?
I think she traded her humanity, but Decker turned into a Nylok first, and then Serrator left, and then she just turned around and she was a Nylok. It wasn't explained well. So yeah, I guess Xandred eventually finds her and is like, bitch, I like your music. Come to my ship in the netherworld and play it for me for all eternity. Because for some reason, that's the only thing that keeps Xandred cool and calm and collective, besides his medicine. So yeah, after this is revealed, the rest of Dayu's character is her just being like, oh, Decker, if only you remember.
Literally, I wish you remembered.
And it's fucked up too, because he never does. It's another example of them adding something but keeping the story from Shinkenger intact, because they do this whole story where they were together, but they never have any conclusion with that story because Decker dies not knowing about Dayu, and Dayu just dies to give Xandred half-human abilities. What was the point? Again, it's kind of morbid and dark for no reason. Don't get me wrong, I don't need villain redemption for every fucking character, but give me something. Alrighty. Speaking of more, what's the point of this? Let's talk about Decker.
Uramasa, my trusty sword. If I can't finally fight a worthy opponent and bring him to his knees, then what's the point in being immortal?
The wasted potential character, because you honestly could have done something so cool with this character, but again, you do nothing. So Decker is a cursed warrior that thirsts for battle and chooses Jaden randomly out of a hat. So that both seasons they're just fighting and fighting, fight. They first have their ultimate duel, and then in season 2 they have their great deal, because he's lowering the bar. Because honestly, us as an audience, we just lowered the bar, so I guess it's appropriate. He wants a battle, and then he actually is defeated in the first season, but technically he comes back because during the battle, Uramasa was broken, so I guess that's like, technically you weren't be because your sword broke. That makes no sense. So in season 2, he's pretty much Raider's bitch that just does stuff for him, so he'll fix his sword. So they have their great duel, and then Decker's defeated, but not by Jaden, because Kevin gives the final death blow.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
You gave Kevin the final blow after 2 seasons of build-up?
We also went from the ultimate duel to the great duel. Ooh.
Lowering the bar. So yeah, Decker's boring. Shocker! Which is a shame, because his character has the bones. I get it, because he's a skeleton. For something cool, which they almost could have done, because as much as I hate to admit it, Amit pitched a really cool idea by having Decker be Jaden's childhood friend that finds out he's half Nylok.
Don't give him any credit.
But I'm gonna add something to it that he didn't. Just give me a minute. I would have erased the whole Dayu and Decker romance thing, because let's be real, that's not important to the story. They only did it because they hang out in the footage a lot. So this is what I would have done. So Dayu is Decker's mom. She was a Shiba clan member, the pink one. So that's why all that footage has her interacting with the Pink Ranger.
Okay.
She falls in love with Xandred. Or she gets enticed by Xandred. And then they have a baby, which is Decker. And she has the baby before she becomes a Nylok. So maybe having the baby turns her into a full Nylok. So before she turns into a full Nylok, she drops Decker off at the Shiba house. And then he's raised by G. And then she leaves a note like, this is the last member of the pink Shiba clan. So we could have had a male Pink Ranger too, so that would have been cool. They're desperate for Shiba clan members because Jaden is technically the last one in my mind, because this is my Power Ranger Samurai fan fiction. In my mind, you do the 4 members are Jaden's friends because there's very low Shiba clan members, because Jaden's technically the last. He raises him until he reaches a certain age, and then he finds out about his half Nylok lineage, and then he's turned to the dark side, and then we get the drama. So there you go.
I like that.
And then I would have made Decker the villain for season 1. Take out Xandred altogether. Have him be the big bad at the end of the season. The whole plot of the season, I guess, could be that they try to bring back Xandred a la Collect Fear. So Decker is the main villain in the first season. He's destroyed in the first season. Maybe bring him back in season 2 or not. Then in season 2, Serrator is the main bitch in charge. There you go. And then at the end, Xandred just comes back because he's just a generic character. So he doesn't need to be in the whole show. Alrighty. And there you go. That's Ray's what could have been corner.
They need to get you writing on this show, Mama.
I know. I'm so good. That's just been stewing in my mind ever since we started rewatching Samurai. Alrighty, so that's it for Decker. So, let's go to Octoroo. Oh, God. We watched the last episode the other day, and when he did that, we were like, what? I just edited that clip, and I've just been using it for days. It's so funny. Okay, so Octoroo is just essentially the Finster this season. He just helps his master with plans, and that's about it.
He's not making monsters, though. That's because they just show up in the season.
I can't call him the Goldar of the season because he's not a fighter, because he's a little baby squid guy. But yeah, he susses Serrator, and then I guess he survives the final battle. He's just in the ship when it goes down to the San Zero River.
Or he drowned or something.
But they live in the river. I doubt he drowned. And he's an octopus. He's not gonna have to worry about drowning.
That's true. I don't fucking know that.
Also, the comics during Shattered Grid, they hinted that the Nylok were coming back, so maybe if they ever do a Boom Studios Power Ranger Samurai graphic novel, they could have Octoroo be the new leader of the Nylok. That could be very interesting.
Yeah, but I really doubt they're gonna...
Yeah, they're not gonna touch Samurai. It's all the heavy hitters for everything, pretty much. You're gonna be lucky if you get something that isn't in space, Time Force, SPD. Those are the heavy hitters, pretty much. Everything else is second, third tier. But yeah, his one memorable moment beyond the hee is him saying,
"But that's just boss being boss."
Again, the first time we were doing our rewatch for Samurai, we said that every day for like a month. Yeah, but Octoroo's fine, I guess. But let's talk about a not flat character, a villain that actually gets shit done. Let's talk about Mr. Raider.
Allow me to introduce myself, Master Xandred. I am Serrator, and I shall be your servant.
So yeah, so Serrator is actually one of the few villains in this season that has an interesting backstory and motivation. He's the one that turned Dayu and Decker into Nylok, for which he's like, bitch, I'm going to use this to my advantage, because the only reason he turned Decker into a Nylok was, I guess it was his key to open up a portal from the Netherworld to Earth, because his whole plan is to split the Earth in two and have Sanzu River flood the Earth that way. Which, I'll admit, is a good plan. It gets that shit done quicker. That's about it. I like Serrator, but there's not too much to say about him. He's fabulous. And he's fish realness. He is Mr. Fish.
I like Serrator.
Alrighty, so that's it for talking about our characters. So let's list our favorite and least favorite characters. So on to my favorite 3 characters. I'll say it's probably Serrator, Antonio, and Lauren.
Those are literally my top 3.
In that order, too?
No, but put Lauren first.
Alright, so yours is what?
Lauren, Antonio, and Serrator.
But yeah, I mean, they're like the only characters with any energy, really, because Serrator's the best villain, Antonio's just fun, and Lauren's the first female Red, so I gotta put her there. Alright, so least favorite characters. Mine are Kevin, because he's dull as shit, Mentor, because he's dull as shit, and Bulk and Spite, because they're pointless.
They're really pointless. I put Mia, Kevin, and Bulk and Spite.
Valid, like, you could have put anyone else that wasn't Serrator, Antonio, and Lauren.
I know.
All I said when we were talking about the characters was, they're dull, he's dull, she's dull, the villains are dull, this is dull, 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 dull. I hope this isn't a repetitive experience for y'all in the audience. Alrighty, so let's move on to our favorite episodes. So my first pick is The Strange Case of the Munchies. It's a fun time. Emily gets the cosplay as a drill sergeant, and Bulk and Spike are actually in this episode and interact with the Rangers. They go to the Shiba house because Mia drops her wallet at some store. They do some fashion montages, and this is where we learn that Mia's last name is Watanabe. So yeah, it's fun. Emily gets to dress up a drill sergeant. There's cute little antics about all the other Rangers getting hungry. They have the hungies. It's cute. And the fashion montage, iconic. That song too.
Let's go try them on. Okay, cool. So, is this a tough look or what?
All right, Austin, what's your number 1 pick for favorite episode?
So my number 1 pick, y'all are going to be so gooped the house boots. It's Sticks and Stones.
What?
This is like the Power Rangers episode. If you want memes, the house down boots, watch Sticks and Stones. It gives everything that you could ever want. Mwah. I mean, Emily's kind of a meme queen.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now shut it, creep!
And the frozen peas. I mean, enough said. Also, the monster's kind of iconic too, because he's just throwing shade at everybody. He doesn't even give a fuck if you're driving or not. Alrighty, so my number 2 pick is A Sticky Situation.
Ha! Gay!
That was pretty much my choice because of all the homoerotic stuff between Mike and Kevin. They're stuck together due to some white sticky substance.
Oh my god, that CGI for like when all the Rangers are stuck in it looks so bad.
Oh yeah, they weren't putting any money into that CGI.
Girl, is that glue or cum? Like, what is going on?
That's why the subtext is there. Also, they argue like an old married couple, which is our favorite trope.
Oh yes.
I mean, Charlie, enough said. Then they dance, which is cute. Kevin rolls Mike in a shopping cart, which is also cute. And then the PS de resistance. Kevin has to use the bathroom while being stuck to Kevin, so Mike probably touched his penis.
Ooh, ciao.
Prove me wrong.
Change my mind.
Alrighty, what's your number 2 choice, Austin?
My number 2 choice is Strange Case of the Munchies. Like you said, it's just a fun episode, more Emily shenanigans.
You stan Emily.
I do stan Emily.
She's your queen.
I mean, I wouldn't call her my favorite character in the season. She's just like a meme queen. I love her. I like that shot of her morphing with the lipstick is really funny.
Love it. Alrighty, so on to my number 3 pick, which is Broken Dreams. This isn't like Dino Charge or Dino Charge Retrospective where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't only pick 3. I have to pick these 3 because I'm like, eh.
Didn't we up it to 5?
Yeah, we upped it to 5.
Yeah, because it's too good.
But yeah, I like the whole Dyer and Decker stuff, even though I came up with a better solution for those characters. It's original stuff. I like it.
I liked that they were doing something with the villains, because before that we got nothing.
Too bad that the things they added, they didn't change towards their end game, because their end game is the same from the Sentai, because they just both die without any happenstance or anything. You don't even see a shot of them joining themselves in the afterlife. You could have just done that.
That would have been cute.
You could have seen Dai die, and then you see her spirit go to wherever, and you see Decker just meet her there and like hold out a hand, and then they walk into the light.
Aww, that's cute.
It would have been finality. These people weren't bad people. They were just put under a spell by an evil bitch. They didn't deserve to be killed. What did they do?
They didn't do shit.
Poor things. It's also cool to see Bulk dressed up as a samurai in his dream. That's the closest thing we got to Shinken Brown this season. I'm just still legit surprised they didn't adapt that episode.
That's kind of just more appropriation. We don't need that.
True, but if you're gonna make Bulk's story that he wants to be a samurai, just do it.
I think Bulk shouldn't have been in Samurai. I think they should have saved him for Megaforce. Because I get that they were trying to make a big comeback with Samurai. It very much felt like Mighty Morphin, where there was merch for everything. There was fucking Samurai mac and cheese and juice boxes and shit. There was everything.
When Saban bought back Power Rangers, Samurai got everything.
And then Dawn Charge didn't get shit.
It's the best season in the Neo Saban era, and that's not saying much, but it got nothing. Like, Samurai got everything.
But yeah, I feel like they should have saved Bulk for Megaforce, and then he could have been running the Froyo shop instead of that random Ernie guy. Why is it called Ernie's Brain Freeze? And he's not related to Ernie or anything, or it's not like a chain. It's just some random guy who happens to be named Ernie. What the fuck?
That's your throwback? You named the dude Ernie, but he's not Ernie?
Or like it's not Ernie's son, or Bulk running a chain for Ernie or something. They could have done anything. And he's in that opening theme song for like the 4 episodes he's in. It's like 10 lines.
He's in the first season's credits, and then they're like, no. All right, Austin, what's your number 3 pick for best?
My number 3 pick was A Sticky Situation. Because, yeah, it's really, really gay. And even though it's a Kevin focus too, it's still fun.
Let's move on to least liked episode, which was a hell of a lot easier.
I'm sure number 1 is the same.
So my number 1 is Runaway Spike.
Oh, no? Okay.
So the only Bulk and Spike episode, mostly Spike episode, is super fucking generic. So Spike runs away to make money so Bulk doesn't get evicted from his garage.
A garage. How much are you paying for a garage?
Again, Skull isn't sending any money for Bulk to take care of his kid because he's fucking rich. So he does a little odd job. And he's like, oh, it's so funny. He can't park a car or work at I don't even remember. It's just hilarity ensues. So he gets to pick time for Mia, which I guess she also helps him get a job with Antonio catching fish. But again, we never see it again. So what's the point? Also, the main plot of the episode has nothing to do with Spike stuff. It's just some monster that can duplicate himself. All right, Austin, what'd you pick for number 1?
My number 1 is Forest for the Trees. AKA the episode where Mike is a piece of shit asshole.
Yeah, that's my number 2. Oh, this episode is so fucking bad.
It pisses me off so much every time we watch it.
He's just a whiny fucking bitch that gets mad because Mia got the beetle disc instead of him.
Oh, boo fucking who? You did nothing to earn it. You're a fucking slacker.
What makes you think you earned that disc, dude?
And then Mia and Emily are pitying him the whole episode, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I just don't get why Mike was acting so childish.
To be honest, I think they both kind of were.
Mentor wasn't childish. He's got every reason to be frustrated.
Okay, Mike made a mistake, but it really hurt him to be left out.
I realize that, but they had to choose the best person for the job.
Sure, but if you ask me, Mike has more than enough Simo power to handle the beetle disc. So why did Mentor pick you over him? He just made a choice. Doesn't mean it was the right one.
Mia should have been like, get over it, bitch. I got the disc because I'm more competent than you. She goes like, you deserve it more than me towards the end because he beat the fucking depression monster with his stick. You found the nylon. I guess you can just have the disc. You deserve it more than me. No, he doesn't. He fucking whined until y'all were like, whatever, shut the fuck up.
I don't get the plot of the disc needing to be with Mike because it's original footage in the cockpit. Mia could have kept the beetle disc. She earned it. Let her have it.
Why did Mike have to have it?
Because he's a guy.
Because he's a guy and girls can't have auxiliary resorts.
That's why me and Emily are treated like shit. That's why Lauren gets the shit end of the stick.
That's why Dayu is treated like shit too.
Samurai said fuck girls.
It's just so regressive.
Also, that stupid ass scene where Mike's pissed off, gets this plant to hold Mentor's stick. What? Let go of the stick!
Let go of the stick, Mentor. The vine didn't attach to his hand, it attached to the stick.
He's trying to pull it out, and everyone's like, Mike, stop it. And he's like, you don't understand me. And then Mentor yanks out the stick, and the plant topples over. You could have just let go of the stick.
He acts like the world would blow up if that stick hits the ground.
It wasn't holding onto your arm. That would have been different. Why didn't you just do that? Why was it holding onto a stick?
All right, so that was my number 2 too. So what is your number 2, Austin?
My number 2 is Deal with the Nylock.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that episode.
This episode's really frustrating. Kevin and Mia are paired up, and there's shipping moments between them. And Kevin's pretending he's eating her chicken that she made, but he's throwing it behind him. And she's like, oh, you scarfed that down. I'll have to write down the recipe. Girl, just tell her you don't want to eat it. And then it's literally about this child. A Nylock lies to the child, and everyone's like, oh, you're a bully. It's a Nylock.
He's a monster.
You're gonna trust a monster?
The plot of the episode is, oh my god, this Nylock comes in, and this kid, baseball player, and then Nylock comes in and he's like, hey, if you give up baseball, I'll bring your dad back from Iraq or something. He's not dead, mind you, he's just away. That's the evil plan of the episode.
Throw away your baseball bat.
Throw away your baseball bat. And then you see a moment where it's like, oh my god, no! The baseball bat is in the garbage. This is the dumbest fucking episode. I can't believe I forgot this.
And then somehow Jaden uses symbol power to make a projection of the kid's dad from Afghanistan or something. What?
Is it really his dad, or is it just an illusion of his dad? Is it like an illusion puppet, or did the symbol power make him actual project there?
I couldn't tell you.
I am confused.
I am confusion.
They could have done something else with this monster. You didn't have to directly do a deal with a kid. This monster could have been anything. I think of all the episodes of Dino Charge, even Ninja Steel, that changed the plot of the episode of what the monster does, and it works fine. But Samurai was so firm in that they had to exactly copy what the Sentai did and change a little bit if it went too far. I get it. The production with Samurai was really quick, but that's no excuse. They didn't have to air in February of the next year. They could have halted it a little bit, maybe air it in the fall, and then gives you more time. But I guess they had to go. Alrighty, so that was your number 2 choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on to my number 3, which was The Great Duel.
There's not even a duel in it. It ends before the duel starts.
Pretty much. It's kind of clickbaity, but at the same time, that's not what the episode is about. The episode is about everyone shooting on Lauren because she's not Jaden, and then pisses me the fuck off. Turns on her for no reason, even though Jaden left on his own volition. Way to go. Treat your first female Red Ranger like shit. So that was my number 3. Austin, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Kevin's choice, where Kevin is like, wah, maybe I can go back to my swim team. I wish I could tell them I'm a samurai. Wah.
He thinks he can do this because Nylock is Samuraizer.
Yeah, so he's like, well, I'll just stop being a samurai ranger. I'm like, huh? That's not how that works.
They don't have extras lying around? They can't make a new one? Kevin's trash. I appreciate that they brought back the whole swimming thing, but it's not handled well. Okay, so let's talk about some pros and cons of the season. So pros...
None.
No, there are some. It's very shallow reasons, but there's reasons here.
First thing filmed in HD.
It's the first season filmed in HD. It's very pretty. It's 1080p and it's gorgeous. They use a very high quality camera this season that they didn't use in the other seasons. Because as much as I love Dino Supercharge, for some reason the cameras they use make it look very gray.
I don't know what happened between Dino Charge and Dino Supercharge because the filming cameras they were using were very different. Season 1 is gorge. And season 2 is meh.
It's like it's a Tim Burton movie all the time because it's so gray.
It's like we're watching the first Twilight movie.
And also, the Shiba House is gorge too. No wonder they didn't want to do base destruction. I love the Shiba House. That's one of my top bases, probably.
They still should have destroyed the base. That's like one of the best finale tropes.
It's tradition at this point. Every season from Lost Galaxy to RPM did it. Every season. Well, Jungle Fury. What are you going to do?
Destroy the pizza?
Destroy the pizza! Dino Charge did it, and then Ninja Steel did it, Beast Morphers did it. I mean, Dino Fury's probably going to do it because those villains get into the base like every other episode at this point. Another pro is that the fight choreography is top notch, because I would hope a season based on Samurai would have good choreo, and I did like seeing them train. Okay, so onto the cans. The writing. It's a rocky translations. Some scenes are stale because they put the script in the Google Translate and add jokes. Japanese people talk a different way than we do because they're speaking a different language.
They translate it, but they don't read through it and tweak the dialogue. They just leave it.
Also, the tone and the writing is weird. There's a lot of scenes where it's like, they're serious samurai and they're gonna fight. And then you just have scenes where they're like, oh, Goofy, oh, frozen peas. Pick a lane. Are you the Goofy season like Ninja Storm, or are you the serious season like Time Force? Also, lastly in cons, whitewashing. We talked about how they cast a white guy to play Jaden Shiba, but let's talk about the name changes. Like how they changed the word kanji to simple power, except for that one episode where they did say kanji.
Yeah, like towards the end of Super.
And then origami with folding Zord. You can't just say origami? Saban, why the fuck did you adapt this season? I think at the time when they bought Power Rangers, Ghost Sager was almost done. They could have just bought Ghost Sager. I think it was almost done when they bought it. Even if it wasn't done, they've adapted seasons before where they were still airing in Japan.
And what were they going to do with Ghost Sager? They did nothing with it.
Just make it a Mighty Morphin clone because it's the same color scheme.
That's what they did.
So on to theme song thoughts. It's literally a fucking Go-Go Power Rangers remix.
It's really boring. I remember when I was in high school, I heard about Power Rangers Samurai and I was like, oh, cool. I wonder what the theme song sounds like. And I looked it up and I was like, really?
That would have been a cool thing to do for Megaforce and only Megaforce, but why are you doing this to the Samurai theme season? You should have got like something like Japanese, Asian inspired. That would have been cool, but no. Go. They did it again. And I feel like they almost did it for Dino Charge, but I think Judd was like, no, you gotta do something different. Do something original. Thank God they did too, because Dino Charge is a banger. So overall story.
What story?
Exactly. It's a copy-paste mix that sucks out all the Japanese culture and has weird tonal issues where 1 minute it's trying to be super serious and the other minute it's trying to be MMPR'd. But weirdly enough, I don't hate it as much as I used to. Sure, it's a hot mess, but if you asked me a year ago, where would Samurai be ranked in the list of seasons, I'd probably say it was lower than Ninja Steel.
I'm more entertained watching Samurai than Ninja Steel. I kind of low-key stand Samurai. I mean, I have figure arts and other figures. So.
When you were on your Samurai kick, you bought everything you could find.
Mm-hmm. Still want to get a Decker and a Xandrid and a Lauren.
I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure. I'd say it's a guilty tolerance.
Yeah, guilty pleasure is like
something you actually enjoy that other people don't.
Like for me, it's Mamma Mia.
I like Here We Go Again. First one's trash though. Okay, so here's the big question. Samurai or Super Samurai?
Yeah, super easy. That's not even a question.
Samurai was just a rough translation, but Super Samurai, it tried to do some original stuff here and there, and the writing is a bit better, despite the Lauren stuff.
And I would say like, between Samurai and Super, it was also kind of felt very MMPR in the sense of the first season's just every episode is like a formula. Very formulaic. But season 2, they actually start doing some plot stuff.
Yeah, because Serader comes in and he actually has an arc and they actually introduce new stuff and they actually work for new stuff. It's not just handed to them. So yeah, Super Samurai wins it. And lastly, how it compares to other seasons. It's the second best Neo Saban era season, which isn't saying much.
It doesn't really stand out that much. And if it does stand out, it's for bad reasons.
A lot of younger fans, that was their first season, so they think of it like...
It's nostalgia, because they grew up with that instead of Mighty Morphin.
I grew up with In Space, but at least In Space is quality. So that's the end of our Samurai retrospective. We survived it, Austin.
I don't know. I'm not really sure if I'm still alive.
Are you in Nylock heaven?
Nylock hell.
So yeah, what did you think of Samurai in the audience? Did you like it as much as we did? Tweet us at The Grid PR and share your thoughts on Samurai with us. Join us next week for a brand new episode of The Grid, but until then, everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Morphin Legacy production, bitches!